Warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. Hey lovely lady, I hope this finds you well. Before I introduce today's guest, I wanted to let you know that we are back up and running with in-person networking events. I am so happy to be back in the room with you all and welcoming many faces that I haven't seen for a long time, as well as many new ones as well. And it's an absolute pleasure and such an honour to be able to hold the safe space and bring women together to both uplift and support one another, to collaborate, to make great connections, to learn that it isn't just them that is facing the struggles that they might be experiencing in their day-to-day running of their businesses. It's really, really special. So if you would like to come, whether you're a business owner or maybe you're at a point in your life where maybe change is on the horizon and you're trying to work out what is the next step for you, you are so welcome to come and join us, to ask questions, to hear what others are experiencing and how they find it. It really is such a wonderful place where bringing women together means that the expertise and the wisdom, in a very honest and authentic way, is there for you all in one place. If this sounds of interest to you, please head on over to the website howdoesshedoit.life. Click the events tab, and then from there it'll take you through to the upcoming events. You can buy your tickets easily this way through the Eventbrite links, and I very much look forward to welcoming you. Today, my guest is the sassy and vivacious Susie Hasler. Susie is the founder of Styled By Susie, a business and quite frankly a movement, helping women with their confidence by dressing for their body shape and colouring. Susie's life purpose is to show every woman her true and full potential, that she is worthy to look and feel good in her clothes without permission from anyone else. Though she's a personal stylist, the truth, she says, is that personal style goes so much beyond just the clothes. We get personal in all senses of the word in our conversation. Susie shares fabulous wisdom, tips and reassurance as a personal stylist around finding style confidence, and she talks with such openness and authenticity about herself, not just in running her business, but in her life as well. I know you're going to love this uplifting episode and all of the takeaways it offers you. Please take a minute to take a screen grab and tag both of us on Instagram to let us know what you think. And if you think a friend of yours might love and benefit from tuning in, please spread the joy and share it with them straight away. Thank you so much in advance. Buckle up, ladies, and enjoy the show. Susie, welcome to the podcast. It is so good to see you after so long. How are you?
I am very well, thank you, Jo Ferroni. I'm very excited to be on your podcast today.
Well, we're going to have some fun and I feel the energy is high, so I want to get stuck straight in. So, for anyone that hasn't heard of Styled by Susie, of which there's probably not many people, because you're such an iconic brand.
Don't you know who I am?
I think it would be great for that one person that hasn't heard of you, if you could just tell us a little bit. Firstly, before you tell us about Styled by Susie, I'd love you to tell us where you were beforehand, because I don't believe you've always been in this industry.
No, I haven't. So before Styled by Susie, I went straight from sixth form, which I didn't do very well at, straight from sixth form into full-time work in an office. And I kind of enjoyed it, but just never really I always felt like there was something missing. It sounds really corny, but like I was destined for something else. But I did, that's how I felt. So I used to work in an office. I did reception roles. I worked for an accountant. I worked for a graphic design agency. And then I ended up in an engineering company for 10 years as the office manager. And that was what I did before Styled by Susie. So I wasn't in fashion beforehand. I wasn't in styling or anything related to it. So it was quite a career change, to be honest.
So was there a hobby side of things that came before? Because I presume you didn't just go, one day you were sat at your desk and you thought, actually, I know what I need to do. I need to leave here and start a business empowering women with their dressing and their clothes. How did it evolve?
Well, I think I always knew that I wanted to work with people. I always knew that I wanted to do something creative. I started making my own jewelry, which was a bit of a hobby. And one day I was sat at my desk on my lunch break and I was reading a magazine. And in the back of the magazine, there was a course for style coaching. And it was around the time of all the Gok Wan programs. And I'd grown up with Trini and Susanna and all the sort of 90s makeover type films and just loved anything like that. And yes, the style coaching advert said, do you want to learn how to dress your body shape? Do you want to learn what suits you? Do you want to turn this into a potential career? And I was absolutely hooked at that point.
Wow. That sounds like a really magical and truly pivotal moment. I love that. I guess there must have been part of you that was just bursting to get out of that role where perhaps it wasn't so people facing. You weren't helping people in the way that obviously you are nowadays. And did it take you quite a long time from reading that magazine to then getting to the point where you felt able to start the business and leave the day role?
Well, I think I'm quite an impulsive person, which can have its downsides, but I think in business it can really have its upsides. And I straight away saw this course, and it was like, I often wonder what would have happened had I never read that magazine on my lunch break, because I never saw that advert again. And I emailed my husband at work at the time and I said, I've just seen this amazing course. I've looked it up. It looks fantastic. I think I'm going to sign up. So the course took a year to complete, and it just went from there. So I didn't leave my job there and then. I did the course around my job. And as part of the course, I had to do case studies on friends and family. So I was always getting my mum involved, decluttering her wardrobe, throwing fabric colours over her to see what suited her, and just getting everybody kind of involved and just soaking it all up. So the actual time that I left full-time work in an office, it was probably about 2 years after I did the course. So it definitely wasn't an overnight thing. Because I think also what's important to say is that when I did the course, it wasn't with the intention of starting a business. It was more to learn for myself what suited me. And it was more something fun that I could do at the weekends for my friends and my family. So it was never really with the intention of starting a business. It was more to fulfill that creative side of my personality. And strangely enough, the business kind of happened around it.
What I love that you said there was about you having an impulsive nature and how that can have its downsides, which I can understand, but the upsides are pretty magical, aren't they? Because like you say, you didn't see that advert again. So it was that little message, that little sparkle of something that you captured. And I've got all the tingles just saying that right now. Literally, I've just got goosebumps all over me, because that's one of those sliding doors moments, isn't it? If you hadn't seen it, you could still be in that same company now, and think of all of the women that you wouldn't have empowered and helped. And we'll get on to all that you've done with all those women in a minute. That's really special.
I think impulsivity is sometimes seen as a negative trait. It's not always seen as the best thing. And actually, I think when you're in business, I think impulsivity is sometimes the best thing to be, or the best thing to do, because so often people talk themselves out of doing things. People talk themselves out of making decisions and overthinking things. And sometimes I think the more impulsive you are, the more you go with that feeling, that spark, the more magical the outcome is. So I'm a big kind of believer in impulsivity, and yeah, it can be a really good thing.
Can I come and have some lessons with you? Because the opposite that you've just described is me down to a T. And there's that hesitation, that, oh, what will people think? I better plan it for about 25 years before I brave putting something out there. As you know what I'm like. So yeah, when you start doing impulse coaching, please book me in.
It has its downsides, Jo, when you've had a few cocktails sometimes on a night out.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So tell us, what actually started off as something to fulfill your creativity, to then help and enjoy this time with I love that you started with your mum, but, going on to your family and friends as well. What made you decide, and was it maybe other people that helped you decide that this could potentially be the seed of a business idea?
I think it was other people, because it was the more people that heard about it, and still to this day, if I meet someone for the first time, if I'm at a wedding and someone next to me says, oh, what do you do for a job? It sparks that conversation of someone saying, oh, I want to know that. I want to know what suits me. So in some ways, the decision was made for me, because people were saying, well, if I got a group of friends together, could you come round, and can you, I'll get some wine in and some crisps, and can you come round and teach us all? And from there, the kind of style party idea was born, which is really where I was most busy in the beginning. And I suppose from that point, I did start thinking this could be a business, and there was nothing else like it at the time. There were personal stylists. Personal stylists have always existed. Personal shoppers have always existed, but not for your everyday woman like myself that shops in Next and shops in New Look. So yeah, it was kind of decided for me. And then I think when I saw that there was the demand for it, that was when I thought, well, this could be something. And again, I didn't think it would ever lead to me leaving my job. But again, I thought this is a bit of extra income. I was a mum at that point. So then I started leaving flyers in soft play areas by the coffee machines. I'd go to National Trust places with my son, and I'd just leave a load of flyers in the toilet. I would literally just scatter them like confetti everywhere I went. And I thought, well, they might go in the bin, but if one person takes one, then it may lead to something. So it was semi other people pushing it into a business, but then I think it just did plant that seed in myself too.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was almost an organic process, which built its own momentum. And then obviously you added into it by starting to flyer and what have you. I mean, I don't suppose you can quite have imagined how it was going to turn into what it is today. Perhaps before I ask that question, you could explain, how does Styled by Susie look these days? Because I know that the style parties were a really big part of it in the beginning, but then demand probably outweighed your ability to work with people quite like that still as it got bigger.
Yeah, so I think you, as you probably know, you spread yourself and you probably see this with a lot of the ladies that you meet at networking, and you spread yourself very thinly in the beginning, and you say yes to everything because you never know when work might dry up. And I still do that now 10 years later. I always overbook myself with things because I'm grateful to have the business. But it was very much in person. It was very much me. It was me saying yes to everything every Friday night, every Saturday night. If I said I did style parties for 4 people and someone said, oh, I've got 7 people, I'd say yes to that. And then I'd not get home till 2 a.m. in the morning. And so I think back then it did look very different. It was very much me in person everywhere, but locally. And now it's a lovely combination between in-person, mostly personal shops. I don't do style parties anymore. Personal shopping in person and online. And the balance that I've got now is ideal, because I think I love the mix of the two. And I think the two go hand in hand really nicely.
Yeah. And like you said, you're shopping with people who are comfortable on the high street, and it's not about going to the high-end designer shops or only shopping with you if they've got a wedding outfit to buy, but it could be as well. And that's what I think is really, really brilliant about the way that you work. It's just so accessible for us all. And that kind of brings me on to the question I was about to ask, which is, talk to me about how it feels to work with women who come to you feeling a certain way, and then they leave you, having worked with you, feeling potentially quite different, I should say. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, can you just talk around that for us?
I think it's without a doubt the best feeling in the world. It's indescribable to either have that moment in person when you see somebody, that moment click when they see themselves almost for the first time in the mirror. They almost see themselves through my eyes. They come in saying, I've got this wrong with my shape, and I'm frumpy, and I'm this and I'm that. And so, yeah, that feeling that when you have that light bulb moment is amazing. Sometimes you don't have it till months later. So I think quite a common misconception about our work is that it's instant, and it's, you get those results and you get that amazing feedback straight away. And more often than not, it's not. Sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years. And I'll randomly get a message from somebody that I worked with years ago who has got in touch to say, this is the impact you've had. So it's the most amazing feeling, but every client's journey is different. And if it takes you weeks, if it takes you months, if it takes you years, everybody's journey is different. And to have that privilege of seeing somebody blossom is without doubt the best feeling in the world. And that's what fuels me every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. And not only is everyone's journey different with you, but the journey that they've been on up until this point when they take the step. In fact, up until the point where they start following you, maybe, because that's a slow burn as well, isn't it? In so many businesses, we hear of lurkers. Yes. And in fact, I had someone come to an event recently, and on their feedback, they said, I've been a lurker in your community for years, but it's taken me until now to have the confidence to come and join you at one of your events. And I should imagine that it's that times a gazillion with the work that you do. It takes the time for a woman to feel confident enough to even reach out, because it's so personal, and it's
so personal.
It's so sensitive, isn't it? And I remember when I worked with you, it's a very vulnerable place to be. And, of course, you look after us all when we're in that, that we're in that vulnerable place. And some will have more confidence than others. Some will have more body issues than others. The variety must be crazy. I mean, the variety is massive, isn't it? I should imagine that there's a lot of women that will have spent years protecting themselves. And so that's why it might take weeks, months, years for them to finally allow what you have worked with them on to be real and to be, yes, in their head as well as in yours.
Well, these things that we carry with us can be anything from something that we've heard back in school that we have carried from the age of 12 to I'm then working with them at the age of 50. And it's been that long that they have been told that they had this wrong with their legs, or this wrong with their body, or this wrong with their face. And they've carried that the whole way through. It might be that they have a parent who is very overly critical and still chips away at them, saying about their size and about losing weight, or they might have grown up with a mum who's dieted constantly and spoken about weight loss. So they are coming to you with quite a lot of emotional issues. And I absolutely hold my hands up and say, I'm not qualified to handle those issues. I can only do the styling point of things, but it's amazing how everything does go hand in hand. And yeah, you are getting people coming to you at different levels. And some people, it might just be they've lost a bit of confidence since they've had children, and you can sort of bolster them up a little bit quicker. But others, you are unpicking some things. And that's why I say that it is so much more than styling. It's not counselling by any means, but it's unpicking that and saying to them, okay, why do you feel like that? Why do you see that? I don't see that. And I guess it's just getting them to look at themselves differently. So yeah, everybody is so different. And I think that's what makes it magical. But it's quite a difficult job at times, because you are unpicking a lot of things. And often the clients don't know why they feel these feelings, but you just have to help them in the best way that you can.
Yeah. And, whether you're a qualified counsellor or not, it's a therapeutic process for them just to share those things that they struggle with or have been with them. Whether, some people will know, yeah, it was what that horrible girl in the playground said to me when I was 15. Others won't, but it's just about having a conversation, isn't it? And helping build their confidence again in whatever way works, as far as you're concerned, with their body shape and the situation they're in.
I think I think the word I would say is absolutely essential to have if you're a stylist is empathy.
Yeah.
And it's being empathetic to somebody who is, I don't know, a size 10 who feels overweight or feels horrible about her body. And you have to be as empathetic with somebody, because everybody's issues about their looks and about their body is relevant. Doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter what height you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Everybody's opinion of themselves is relevant. So you have to have that empathy for everyone. You can't say, oh, yeah, but you're fine. You're not. Why do you think that about yourself? And just sort of shut them down.
Yeah, brush it away.
Yeah, because that's what people do. And you have to give them that space to talk about it and say, well, I don't think you look like that, but obviously you do, and it's relevant to you. And I'd like to help you feel differently. So empathy, I think, is more important than anything else to be a good stylist.
Yeah, I should imagine there's a lot of conversations that you have, and you probably need to very much take your time out for yourself as well, because it's when emotions are involved, that's going to take its toll on you as well.
I think the challenging thing sometimes is that you can be having the most deep conversation about something that light bulb moment about that parent or that moment at school. And at the very same time, you're having to say to them, can you just try that one on next for me? And you're sort of, it is kind of part counselling, part then saying to them, oh, yeah, that looks nice, and let's put a belt with it. And it's that, I cannot tell you the brain power it takes to do the work that we do. It's mega. I think it's something that is very much underestimated. I think until you do it, you don't realise all the different things that have to go into it. And absolutely, it can be draining because we care about our clients. We want them to feel good. We want to give them that experience. And we do take that on, which is why it's important that we do have that time off. We do have breaks from it. We don't have 5 personal shops in a row, because you do need to have a little bit of a breather, because you can be a sponge. And when you care about people and you're an empathetic person, you take it on. So yeah, it's absolutely important to just have that space sometimes. I think I've slightly changed the format of my personal shops now, because it used to be that I would spend every moment of that personal shop with that client. So I would stand with them at the till. I would every single moment. And actually, I've learned that breathing space, not just for me, but for the client, it's really important that you have those slight gaps where they pay on their own. I say to them, I'm going to meet you in the next shop. It's more efficient with the time, because it means that I can then get clothes together before the client comes into the next shop. It gives them a bit of a breather. It gives me a bit of a breather. And then you can sort of reconnect at each point of the shop. And it just, that sort of 3-hour time frame with the coffee at the start, it just allows for that natural bit of space, but also that quite intense time that you can be spending talking about quite deep things and getting to know someone in a very short space of time.
So I'd love to talk around what's happened over recent years. I feel there is so much pressure on us. There's probably been pressure on us as women for a long time. But I personally feel that with the media and social media, it's almost like that pressure and that expectation and that perfection is on steroids. And I would love to talk around, how do you deal with that? Because, of course, you've got real women that you're working with that are coming to you. Do you feel that even though we're adults, rather than perhaps teenagers who are being drawn to all the, I don't know, celebrity images and videos and what have you, Do you notice that even adults are feeling a bit like they're not good enough because they're not living up to what they're seeing on social media?
I don't think the clients I work with compare themselves to celebrities. Most clients I work with, that they know a handful of celebrities. It's not like the old days when, we'd have all that time to watch TV and we'd watch reality TV and all of that. And it's so I find that my clients aren't comparing themselves to celebrities so much. They're on Instagram. The people they're comparing themselves to are the other mums at the school gate. So it's either the mums at the school gate, they say, let's use a fake name. Claire at the school gate, Claire at the school gate, she always looks amazing. She works in the city and she just looks so pulled together. She's always wearing this. Her hair looks amazing. On Instagram, she's always doing this stuff with her kids and she does yoga. So I find that they are comparing themselves, but it's not the social media influencers necessarily. It's each other, because they're all seeing each other's highlight reel either at the school gate, on Instagram, on Facebook, and that's the people that they're comparing themselves to. And in some ways, I think that's more toxic than comparing yourself to a celebrity, because at least a celebrity, you can think, oh, well, they're on a different plane, they're on a different level, they are living in Hollywood. Yeah. When you're seeing somebody every day and you're thinking that they have everything sussed, it can make you feel even worse. So yeah, I find they do that comparison, but it is with the everyday person that they are associating with. And I try and say to them, look, Instagram is everybody's highlight reel. They're not going to put the bad stuff on there. They're not going to put the fact that their child ate nothing for dinner. They're going to put that tiny snapshot of when they were in the restaurant together, and not the rest of it. And you just have to just be aware, I suppose, not get too consumed by it.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because you're right. It was the celebrities before that we would sort of look up to, and it'd be about that airbrushed perfection. And then we all found out, oh, actually, it's not quite as it seems. And even before the airbrushing, these celebrities have got the makeup artists, the dressers and what have you. They've got all that stuff. So you could apply a little bit of logic to it and go, oh yeah, okay, I'm never quite going to be like that. But it does seem like it's become quite a damaging. I think it's quite a damaging way to look at things, because when are we ever going to go, they look amazing, but I know I look better, or because you just wouldn't. And we're so good, and I say this with my clients all the time, with people's businesses. So this isn't necessarily about how people look or how they're perceived in a style sense, but in fact, I spoke to someone on a call this morning, and she said, I just don't find it that easy to promote myself like everyone else. And I said, whoa, hang on a minute, let's stop there, because we are so good, and I know I've spoken about this lots before, at comparing like you say, it's our kind of backstage with everyone else's front of house highlight reel. Yet even though we are fully grown adults, there's still something in our brains that won't quite look at it in a really sort of logical way. We let our emotions and maybe the things about ourselves that we don't like really take hold.
Absolutely. And I, like you say, I think it goes beyond just the way we look. I think it's people's homes. That person's had an extension. Look at their kitchen on Instagram. Their kitchen looks amazing. I can't afford to get a new kitchen. Or it might be their business, like you say, they're looking at their business. And I get a lot of people saying to me, your business is amazing. Like, how do you do it all? How do you, you're so good on social media and you're so good on Instagram stories, and it just comes naturally to you. And yes, maybe it does, because I've been doing it for 10 years and it does come naturally to me. But the imposter syndrome I still feel every day, and the absolute nerves I feel walking into every single personal shop, is very much there 10 years later. But you don't see it because it's not something you particularly want to talk about every day. You don't want to sit on Instagram and have your client see you saying, I'm really nervous about my personal shop today. I'm really nervous. You don't want to, so you do hide it. But I think it's important for me every now and then to say, look, I get imposter syndrome. I don't always feel ready to do everything. I feel nervous about doing Instagram stories sometimes. I watch them back and think, oh God, why did I say that? Or nobody's commented on that one, or not many people have liked this. But what I say to clients is really important is that everybody has a common ground. So you may think that person at the school gate always looks really put together. You may think that person has it all sussed when it comes to their business, but actually they've all got their own, they might not be the same as yours, but they've all got their own worries, their own insecurities. And actually deep down, we're all feeling a little bit unsure. And I think it's really important that we just remember that every now and then.
Well said. We're human beings, and it can be so easy for us to get sort of taken along by the tide of looking outwards and almost looking up to everyone else. But it's actually something that I've been writing a little bit about recently. When we're longing for something, or when we feel that someone else is better than us at something, or they've got more, or the house extension, or what have you, we never stop and go, well, hang on a minute. 5 years ago, I really wanted to achieve this in my life, or I really wanted to save up and treat us to XYZ. And now I've done that. We never stop and go, well done. I've done that. And that's what I really wanted. And now I've got to the point where I've done that, or I've got that, whatever it might be. We're programmed in a funny way, aren't we, to not give ourselves I don't think kudos is the right word, but, not sort of celebrate ourselves, but kind of celebrate everyone else at the same time as putting ourselves down.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's a very British thing as well, that I think it's a very British thing to, when someone gives you a compliment, to be like, oh, well, it's really old and it's only Primark and it's only, we're not very good at accepting praise. We're not very good at accepting compliments, and we are our own worst critics. And like you say, I think it's important to sometimes step back and see how far you've come. And I think I certainly have to do that now, where I look back a year ago and I still wasn't back in the shops with clients a year ago. We were still unable to personal shop with clients. And I look now and I'm doing 3 shops a week again. My books are full again. And when I start feeling that stress level rise, I think to myself, okay, don't take on too much, but also be very grateful that you have everything you wanted during a 2-year pandemic. And I think, like you say, it's very important to just step back sometimes and acknowledge and see how far you've come and just sit with it.
Wise words, such wise words. I'm going to listen back to that and remind myself, and maybe you'll need to listen back to that at some point, when you're having a bit of a dip at one point. It's so right. So well said. And it's what we need to hear in those times when we are just floundering a little bit, or doubting ourselves, or feeling a bit overwhelmed with life, work, and everything else that comes with it. So I wanted to just come on to dressing authentically for ourselves. Now, you must work with so many different women, shapes, sizes, outlooks, jobs, everything. I mean, I don't know how you deal with one client to the next. It's just completely different, I should imagine. What would you say is the main thing, or the main couple of things we need to work on if we want to find an authentic look that really works for ourselves?
I think something to strive for is style confidence, not body confidence. I think there's a huge emphasis put onto body confidence. I've got to feel body confident on the beach, and I'm this size, and I've got to put a bikini on and feel body confident. No, you don't, because we are women. Our bodies can fluctuate so much within the space of a month, within the space of a day sometimes. And the likelihood is that you're not going to feel body confident all the time. You may never feel body confident, but something that is achievable for every single person every person is style confidence. And that's something that is affordable, it's achievable, and it's more fun than trying to achieve body confidence. And I think when you can start looking at style confidence, you can start to be quite playful and have fun with it, whether it's finding your little thing that adds your personality to your outfits, whether that could be getting into lipsticks, or I'm going to paint my nails a different color every week, or I'm going to start wearing statement necklaces and going to all the local charity shops and looking for interesting pieces that people have passed on. And I think authentic style is exactly that. It's authentic. It's you. It's not something you've copied. It's not something that has been dictated to you. You can absolutely gain inspiration from other people. I look for inspiration all the time. When I'm in London, when I'm watching TV, I'm inspired by Stranger Things. I'm inspired by people in the street in Brighton. I don't copy an aesthetic from head to toe, but that's how you learn what you like, what feels authentic to you. And I think when you can start to build an authentic style that feels right for you, that's when you can start to become style confident. And I think that is achievable. It's more fun. And I think it's more attainable than any body confidence.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And when you said about, it not being about getting I don't remember the wording you used, but body confidence in terms of getting beach ready sort of thing. I imagine someone like a really, really very slim and very petite model wearing a very sort of little triangular shaped bikini and thinking, well, hardly anyone is like that. So it's not about trying to fit your body into, it's not a one size fits all approach, is it? And the beautiful thing is with different shaped bodies, different style clothes, bikinis, absolutely accentuate them. And so to be able to find something that is your kind of signature look, whether it's on the beach, even if it's, I know you wear a lot of different sunglasses and hairbands, and they're so impactful. So it doesn't even need to be something major, does it, to start with? You can start to build your authentic style and style confidence that way.
Absolutely. And it, like you say, it doesn't need to be a whole new wardrobe. It can be if that's what you feel you need and that's where you are. It can be, like you say, it could be headbands, it could be hats, it could be sunglasses. And I think it's important as well that everybody has parts of their body that they don't like, some more than others. Some people struggle to find anything about their bodies that they like. But I think if you looked really, really carefully at yourself and you were objective about your body and thought, okay, is there one thing I love? It could be something as simple as your nails. I love my nails, for example. And that's where you could really have fun with, like I say, bright coloured nail varnishes, rings, accessorizing your hands. And I think it's not about hiding these parts of your body that you don't like. It's about accentuating the bits that you're okay with. And if I'm having a day when I feel particularly bloated, I'll get my legs out, I'll put a pair of shorts on, or I will put a floaty dress on, but then I'll go for a bright lipstick and a big headband. And I think that's where it's a way of being kind to yourself, because you're still making that effort for yourself, but you're doing it in a way that still feels comfortable for you. And if you want to wear something big and baggy, that's fine, but maybe not hide the rest of you. Put a bright lipstick on, put smearings on. And it's that there's a lot of joy to be had from experimenting with your style. And I don't think it's something that has to be expensive.
No, I love that diversion that you've just talked about there, because, so many of us do suffer with bloating at least at one point during the month. And so it's not about hiding it. You can still be authentically you, but by focusing on the bits that, are working for you that day.
Yeah.
Which that's just magical. I really, really love that.
I was going to say, it might be, we always ask on our questionnaires for online sessions, is there a part of your body you dislike? And is there a part of your body you do like? It's really important to ask both questions, because like I said earlier, you can say to somebody, oh, you've got nothing to worry about, but you do have to be very considerate that, even if you can't see it, even if you don't think it's a big deal, if a client really doesn't like her stomach, you're not going to make her wear a, waist defining belt, for example, if it's going to make her uncomfortable. But we do ask for what a client likes, because sometimes it might be their eyes. And like I say, it could be your eyes, it could be your ears, it could be your hair. There's always something. Doesn't have to be your body. It could be anything from the neck up. And once you find that and you work with it, you start to discover more. And even if you ask somebody else, even if you said to one of your loved ones, what do you think is my best feature? What do you think of when you think of me? What? Maybe not ask someone that is a critical person in your life. Maybe ask someone that's, your best mate or your husband or your sister. And they might say your smile, your eyes, and then you can work with that. And it's empowering once you start doing it. And it becomes almost addictive.
Yeah, it sounds like once you get started, you can almost start uncovering other things. And maybe that's also, you'll know more than me, but maybe that's also how people start to learn to love themselves a little bit more, by starting with that small thing, if it is their nails. And then, they literally, I'm going to dress my hands because I really like, and then you're going to look at yourself and go, oh, I'm feeling proud of myself, and build it up from there.
Well, because it's by painting your nails, that's self-care. That's doing something for yourself. That's a real bit of kindness that you can give yourself. And that little act of self-care, it just plants a seed. And then once those people at work say to you, oh, your nails always look so nice. You've always got a different colour on. I always look forward to seeing what you've done with your nails this week. And it just gives you that little bit of spark. So then you think, oh, what should I do next? Shall I? And it does. It's a chain reaction.
Well, that's given me so much food for thought. And so I know it will have given my listeners food for thought as well. So thank you. And on that point, I asked you if you might be able to share maybe one, maybe two, maybe three little short affirmations that my ladies could just start on that journey that we're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. They're quite short. And they're actually ones that I use myself.
Thank you.
And I think what's important is to not have them focused on image. So as much as I am into styling, it has to come from within. So the first most important one that I say every night before I go to sleep and every morning when I wake up is, I am magnetic. And to me, that it sort of embodies so much, because if you're a magnetic person, you attract whatever it is you want to attract. So if I say to myself in the morning, I am magnetic, that might be that day I want to only attract kindness. I attract kindness. I am magnetic. And that could be anything you want. You could use that for your business. You could use that for how you feel about your body, and imagining yourself as a magnet that all these good vibes are coming towards, sticking to you. It means that almost no negativity can come towards you, if that makes sense. So I would say, I am magnetic. I attract kindness are two of my big ones. And then the other one I had was, I radiate joy. And I think, again, this is something that needs to come from within, because if you say to yourself, I radiate joy, you go everywhere with a smile on your face. No matter how you're feeling, you smile at somebody in the street, you go into a coffee shop, and before you just say to them what you want, you say, hi, how are you? And invariably they'll say to you, oh, I'm good. How are you? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Can I have? And you are like this. Imagine yourself as like a ball of sunshine, just no matter who you're seeing, whether it's someone in the supermarket, I love letting people out of junctions. I love any little way that I can make somebody's day better gives me joy. So I think if you say to yourself, I radiate joy, you will spread that onto everybody, and invariably that comes back to you. So to me, both of those affirmations are all about something I feel passionately about, which is the law of attraction. So what you put out, you get back.
Thank you so much for sharing those. I'm literally bursting here because I resonate. I resonate so deeply with those, and especially the last one. So the fact that you really love letting people out of a junction, I'm like, oh my God, I've never spoken to anyone about this before. But it literally, if I smile at someone, whether they return it or not, because I used to think, oh, if someone didn't return it, what have I done wrong? But now I completely understand that everyone's got something going on. So I'm just giving that smile. They can do with it what they will.
I think you've also got to think how great you feel when you're let out of a junction. You know, when you're sat there and you're thinking, oh God, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. And then someone just flashes their lights at you and let you out. And you're like, oh my God, thank you. And it does. And then you're more likely to do it to someone else.
And imagine that ripple effect. I didn't see our conversation going this way, but I love it because if I give someone a smile, whether they return it or not, but especially if they do, literally, it's my day made. I'm like, brilliant. And the same with letting someone out and opening a door. And you know what's really nice? And we've not talked about kids, and we didn't have to talk about kids, but my boys see it and my boys do it. Yes. And they'll also recognize if someone has said thank you when I've let them out of a junction, and they'll comment, oh, that's nice. Did you see they said thank you? And what a great way to lead. So, you know, we're leading by example as well as helping ourselves with these actions and affirmations as well.
Well, because if when we go for a bike ride at the weekends, my son is just so friendly, and we cycle along this track, and anyone that's walking towards us with the dog, or he's like, morning, and they're quite taken aback because we are very like this. We're very tunnel vision. We are very in our own thoughts, and that's completely understandable. So to have somebody just break that and just say morning with a smile, and like you say, leading by example and seeing that he's doing that makes me proud.
Credit to you. Yeah, I really relate to it. But thank you for those affirmations. I'm definitely going to start doing those. I've got some of my own affirmations anyway, but
what's your favorite one? Do you have like a daily one that you do?
I like the ones about being calm because of my anxiety. Sometimes I will literally just say, I am calm and at peace. And if I'm having a panic attack when I'm driving, I literally just say, I am peace.
I love that. God, I love that.
And I feel that it's just so generic, but so deep as well, if you know what I mean. So rather than me have to think about something to try and think my way out of the panic attack that's trying to take a hold, I literally just gently tap my chest and say, I am peace. Yeah, I do quite a lot of different ones, but I love that you start and end your day with one always. Well, before I take up your whole day, I'm going to round off our conversation just with the final 3 questions that I like to always ask my guests. So coming back to your business, what would you say is the toughest thing about working for yourself, if you can only find one? I mean, I know there are lots. It's not easy to run our own business, but is there one that you can share with us?
I do think sometimes the guilt, I don't like the word guilt, but I think guilt is quite a strong word. And I think there's a lot of guilt that comes in when you run your own business, because you are on your phone a lot. And as much as you don't want to be on your phone a lot, things happen, you know, styling emergencies happen. Someone's called in sick, or so the guilt of having to be almost on call is difficult, particularly when you're trying to have that family time and things happen. So I think never feeling like you have that balance, I think, is the difficult thing for me. But equally, I think I've got used to it over time.
Yeah, although it's a tricky thing, you probably, because it has been a little while now that you've been running your business, you become aware of it and conscious of it, I guess. And that in itself is probably the best you can be.
Yeah.
With respect to that. So yeah, you're managing it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure there's not only one best thing, but can you narrow it down to the best thing about running your own business?
I think it's being in complete creative control, that if I want, that I can do anything at any time. I can be impulsive. I can completely throw myself into something and almost not have to answer to anyone for it. I think it's just having that control, being creative, being playful, and just having a sense of purpose every day, I think is the best thing. I can't imagine not doing it now.
And the final question that I end every podcast with is, as you know, the name of my business is How Does She Do It? Because I don't believe that she does it all. Is there one thing that you do or perhaps don't do anymore to ensure that you do remain on track and healthy and happy in life?
For me, it's not the big things for me. I think I take the pressure off myself. I take the pressure off myself that right now my house is an absolute tip. And that's okay, because that means that my business is going really well.
Yeah.
You know?
And you've got a happy family.
Yeah. And that, if the laundry hasn't been put away, or I haven't hoovered up those crumbs from last night's dinner, it doesn't matter. My son's gone off to school, happy and healthy, fed. My business is thriving. And I think it's just I've taken that pressure off myself, that I don't have to keep up with everything, because as long as you're trying your best, that's the most important thing. So for me, it's not necessarily something I've implemented, but it's just, I guess, just a peace of mind that it's okay if not everything gets done. And for me, that's made life easier, just having that sort of realization, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And I don't doubt that people will have almost taken that as a little bit of permission for themselves today, because we're all so hard on ourselves and do compare ourselves with this perceived image of life in everyone else's experience. And it's not the truth.
Well, because I think the work that I've got at the moment, we are slowly just coming out of the busiest time of the year in the styling industry, which is why everything in the house looks the way it does right now. But in August, everybody goes on holiday. We close our books. I'm going to spend August. I'm going to sort out the office. I'm going to have a sort out of the house. I know it will happen, but I don't need to pressure myself about it every day. And for me, that's what I've changed.
Yeah, well done. Much respect. And that in itself, we're back to breathing space. You build in that breathing space throughout your working year, as well as throughout your sessions, as well as in between your sessions. Oh, what a teacher you are, Susie. Brilliant.
Thank you.
It's really, really brilliant to hear, and so inspiring. I've been inspired by you for a very long time, and it's just been wonderful to have this conversation. Before we end it, I would love you to tell people, how can they find you? Where can they get hold of you? Tell us.
So you can find us mostly on the website. So the website will have everything you need. If you're new to the service, you'd like to just know more about me, about the team, the website is styledbysusie.co.uk. And from there, you can find us on all the usual social media channels. So, and we'd love to see you. We are inclusive. Everybody is welcome. And we would love to help more women find their style confidence. And I've loved talking to you today. It's just been amazing. And you've been such a support to my business over the years, not just as a client, but as a friend as well from the very start. So it's lovely to be able to do this today with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's been an honor to have you join me in conversation, and I'm really looking forward to this being shared with everyone. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. And you keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.